Hey everybody, the video that you're about to watch has been recorded all as one video, but it ended up being super duper long. So in the interest of breaking it up, I decided to make it into 3 different videos. So once you get to the end of this video, practice what I talked about in this video and then move on to the next video, and I'll see you there. Today's lesson is going to be talking about the exact daily actions that you should be taking to be able to master guitar soloing. Now, I know a lot of you are in different situations. Some of you are beginners, some of you are intermediate, and some of you are more advanced. So we're going to be going over the actions you should be taking, whether or not you're beginner, intermediate, or advanced, and as you progress through them, where you can change the actions that you're taking and how you know you can start to focus on other things in your practicing. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so we got this document here, and check below the video after this is done so that you can get your copy of this document. So before we get into the actual actions themselves, let's just go over a couple of things that you need to understand about every single thing we're going to talk about in this list, okay? So every piece of material on this list should be practiced in an improvisational manner in time. I put that in caps and bold because it's so important. So, for example, let's say you're learning a C major scale or an E major scale. You're learning the notes in some sort of group of notes, whether it's a scale or arpeggio. A lot of times people just practice them, say, like this. Great, I know them. No, you don't know them yet. Okay, that's only scratching the surface. What you should do is you need to have on some kind of drum track or backing track that is going to provide a sense of time for you when you're practicing so that you can actually improvise with the material that you're working on. So you need to have this mindset from the beginning, no matter what level you're on. So let's say I'm practicing the E major scale. That's actually what I just played. I'm going to not just practice it up and down like that. That's just so I can get it under my fingers. But then I'm going to solo over with a drum track. So right, so I'm not going to do that for too long because this is something that I have talked about in videos before, but I just want to make sure that you're all 100% clear on this because it's that important. You really, really, really need to make sure that every single time you get to a new piece of material that you're improvising with it over a steady tempo in time and practicing playing different rhythms and combinations of notes and rearranging the notes and reordering the notes so that you're actually being musical with all the stuff that you're practicing. Because you could easily practice all this stuff and do so in a not really musical way, just kind of by yourself. Okay, here's the key of E major. No one wants to listen to that. That doesn't sound like a solo. So we want to make sure that we're actually sounding like we're soloing and actually in that improvisational mindset from the beginning, if that makes sense. So if you can complete all of the actions on this list, you're definitely pretty freaking pro at soloing, okay? So just one more important thing. So critically important notes. Rhythm is the most important thing. So if I'm playing that E major scale that I just played and I'm trying to get that under my fingers, while I'm playing over that drum track, I am, yes, of course, trying to hit the quote right notes. Sorry, just hit my guitar right there. Yeah, I'm trying to hit the quote right notes, but if I'm not 100% sure about where the right note is, I'm going to make sure that I nail the rhythm over anything, okay? A wrong note with a good rhythm is always better than a right note with a bad rhythm. So I think it's really important for you guys to be in the right mindset when you're practicing all these things because you can practice the right stuff, but in the wrong mindset, you're not going to get the results that you want. Okay, so now if you're a beginner, this is what you should be doing every day, and you should be knocking out all the stuff on this list here in the bottom. So beginner prerequisites. If you can't do any of this stuff, okay, you're going to have big freaking problems later on. It's never going to go away. These problems will never, ever, 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 ever go away if you ignore the stuff that's in this list, okay? So, number one, you should practice and master where the natural notes are all across the fretboard. So I have a video called The Best Way to Memorize the Notes All Over the Fretboard. Check that video out if you have not done so yet, and make sure you practice it. That should be the first thing you knock out. So you should be able to know on every string, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, etc., etc., etc. And again, practicing it in the same way, throwing on a drum track, and when you actually practice those notes, actually solo with them. I'm just gonna play in time without a track right now because I don't feel like turning the track on, and I can play in time. Right, so getting comfortable actually just soloing with those notes and making sure you're aware of what note you're on for the most part when you're soloing. Once you start getting a little bit fast, then you're not gonna maybe necessarily be thinking about every single last note name, but in order for you to find them on one string at a time, you're just gonna have to know what the names of the notes are. So, number two, be able to comfortably execute quarter notes, eighth notes, and 16th notes at a tempo of at least 80 beats per minute, and hopefully working your way up to at least 120 beats per minute. Okay, so actually, just so happens this drum track that I had on here is at 80 beats per minute. So you should be able to play quarter notes with all downstrokes, by the way. Quarter notes, you can stick to downstrokes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and ideally being able to change notes every single time you pick. Okay, you don't have to start like that. Now, eighth notes, you should be able to execute eighth notes, no problem, with alternate down, up, down, up, down, up picking. So now changing notes every time. And then finally, 16th notes. Again, down, up, alternate picking. This is where your technique is going to start to be challenged. So you might want to just repeat notes for a while until you start to try to play different notes every single pick. So So again, that was all just with the natural notes in the key of C major over the guitar fretboard. So just alone, you can see actually that's already starting to make it sound pretty good. If you can execute 16th notes at that tempo, and it's starting to get kind of fast, right? Now, of course, if you start pushing it up to 85, 90, you're gonna start building up your speed too. Both just your raw ability to play fast, but also to actually improvise fast. Okay, so now once you've done that, you've gotten pretty comfortable with the key of C. Number three, you should be able to spell and play the major scale in all 12 keys. So not only do I know the notes in the key of C major, playing them, but I can spell them out. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. Okay? And then now, every single thing that we do in the key of C major, we need to also be able to do it in all 12 keys. right? So you should also know how to spell out the key of D major. And then once you can spell it out, you'll be able to find it all over the fretboard. If you can spell it out up here, then you could do it on the guitar fretboard. That's kind of how a lot of this stuff works, guys. If I know it up here, okay, I know the underlying concept, well, then I'm not going to have a problem finding it on the guitar as long as I know the notes on the guitar, right? Of course, if I don't know the notes on the guitar, I could spell all this stuff out and I still won't be able to find it on the guitar. So the key of D major, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. You should be able to rattle this stuff off. You need to practice spelling out every key. Key of E flat major, E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D, E flat. You need to practice spelling every key. How do you do that? Well, that's something I've talked about in some other videos, but I'll just give you a quick explanation. First of all, check out the video I did on circle of fifths, and you need to learn key signatures. Learn all 12 of your key signatures, and that tells you what notes are sharp or what notes are flat in the key that you're trying to figure out. And then you basically just start alphabetically. So for example, the key that I just spelled out, E flat major. Okay, so I know it starts on the letter E because it's called E flat major, right? So no matter what, I'm gonna count up from E, some kind of F, then G. G is the last letter in the musical alphabet. Then we go back to A, so then A, B, C, D, E. So some kind of E, some kind of F, some kind of G, some kind of A, some kind of B, some kind of C, some kind of D. Okay. Now I know that the key signature for E flat major happens to have the notes B flat, E flat, and A flat. So that means I'm going to spell out the scale alphabetically like that, but I'm going to know that every single time I come to B, I'm going to say B flat instead. Every single time I come to A, I'm going to say A flat. And then also every single time I come to E, it's going to be E flat, which of course that's actually implicit in the name of the key E flat major, right? So E flat, F, that one wasn't flat. G, that one wasn't flat. A flat, that was one that was flat. B flat was also flat. And then C and D were natural, and then E flat. So you need to know two things. Number one, spelling the letters in alphabetical order, which is easy. Literally anyone can do that. Spell letters in alphabetical order unless, you don't know what the alphabet is. And then knowing which notes are supposed to be sharp and which notes are supposed to be flat. So the cool thing about this is this something that you can practice away from your guitar. You could be driving somewhere and do this. Okay, let me pick two keys for today and get really good at spelling those out. Let me get really good at spelling out F major and E flat major, whatever it happens to be. But you got to get through all 12 keys, okay? Now, be able to play the minor pentatonic scale in all 12 keys. That's really, really, really important. So if you've checked out any videos on all 5 positions of the minor pentatonic scale, well, you should know that the minor pentatonic scale actually starts from the 6th note of a major scale. So if I want to find the minor pentatonic scale that goes with C major, I go to the 6th note of the key of C major. So the 6th note of the key of C major is C, D, E is the 3rd, F is the 4th, G is the 5th, A is the 6th. So A minor pentatonic goes with C major. So then I need to be able to play, obviously, A minor pentatonic all over the entire guitar fretboard in all positions, and then ideally also on single strings and other ways of laying the pattern out. Check out my video, The Coolest Way to Play the Pentatonic Scale, to learn more on that. And then finally, soloing over basic backing tracks in all 12 keys using all of the previous tools, okay? So an easy way to do this, just go on YouTube and say, okay, I want to practice the key of E major. Boom, type in a key of E major backing track, and then just focus on playing both the key of E major, just the major scale, and soloing with that, and then also figuring out what's the 6th note in the key of E major, and then using that minor pentatonic. So for example, key of E major, sorry, that was the wrong one. E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp. So it's the same thing as C sharp minor pentatonic. So if I'm gonna play over a backing track, I can have those two options available to me. Just using the key of E major, the major scale, or using C sharp minor pentatonic scale over any given backing track that's in that key. Okay, make sure that you practice playing in all keys. So if you can do all of those things, you're gonna already be well on your way to getting your soloing down. Okay, that's already a huge accomplishment. If you can spell out all your keys and do that pretty comfortably, and then find what minor pentatonic scale goes with each major key, you're already doing fantastic. And at that point, I would say you're absolutely at an intermediate level. Okay, so now that you're done with the beginner video, make sure you have every single thing down that I just talked about, and then move on to the intermediate video, which is right here on screen. If you need help, make sure that you go check out my course, the Jamsville GPS Fretboard Fundamentals course, which will show you how to do every single thing I talked about in this video. I'll see you there.